Okay.
Okay, so that's the view from down below looking out here. I'm under the Dodger. A couple of things I forgot to mention. I have here these rusty tools, which is a bit of a bugger, but they're still all working. I'd always leave some tools here. I had pliers, shifter spanner, and the Allen keys, ready access tools in the rope bag here in the locker in front, and so it was really important. And the rope bags also had, you know, I'd keep my all sorts of things there. My glasses, I had a pair of glasses here, glasses in there, glasses everywhere, and always a water bottle here as well. So that's cool. So when I'm coming down, it's pretty straightforward. Here, I sit there and then I slide back down and I get to here. The next thing of interest, I'd always have my main harness clipped on here with a simple clip, so that whenever I needed it, I could just unclip it from there, boom, boom, and it's done. Because I wouldn't wear my harness. This is a touchy subject, but for me, I don't wear my harness all the time. Okay, I virtually never wear it down below, but even in the cockpit, you know, I don't wear it in the cockpit. If I think there's something happening or the conditions are bad, I might wear it ready to go forward if something happens. But here I can grab it from outside if I need to put it on in a hurry, or on the way out I can get my harness. It's always there. Now underneath here there is the life raft. That's a special Plastimo Mini 650 life raft in a valise. Now the Mini 650 raft is special mainly because it's a 4-man raft with most of the equipment, but there's no water and no food in there, which keeps it lighter. Because I've got to pull this raft, well, when I want to launch it, this seat flips up. It's not connected, it's just pressure holding it down. I lift the seat up, grab the raft, pull it up, chuck it out through the thing here. It's clipped on, and then I've got to get it on the side ready to launch. I've got to do that within 15 seconds. Every 580 owner has to do that if they've got their raft stowed below. It's got to be able to ready to drop over the side within 15 seconds, and so I can do that. We've done the test. So that's where the life raft goes. On the other side here, I have well, first of all, I have the panic bag down the back there. Right at the back in there, I have that black bag with the anchor rope and chain, because it's quite heavy, little bag. So that's at the back, and then I have my panic bag and my flares, which are all in there. And then I have my spare second harness, Plastimo harness, tucked in the back as well. So if something happened to this one, I've got the second one ready to go. This has actually got the long strop. This has got a three clip strop, which is a long lead. The one I use here has only got a very short lead. That's it. That's the length of my lead. It's extendable, but that's it. It's only a bit over a metre. I think it's probably one and a bit metres. And this is important because, as I said before, you don't want to fall over the side. If you fall over the side, you're probably dead because you won't be able to get back on board. So this is the key. And my cockpit clip point is right in the middle here. It's in the middle of the boat, down the equivalent there. So I can't fall over. You won't be able to see it, but I'm explaining to people. So it's clipped on there, so I can still get to all of the stuff, the sail handling gear on the starboard port side, but I cannot fall over the side. It's impossible to fall over the side. So just remember, clip in the centre of the boat if you can, and stops you going over. It's really important. So that's there, and then so I'd have anchor chain and line, panic bag, spare harness, and then my wet weather jacket. I've got a Plastimo jacket, beautiful one, really cool. That I would just scrunch up and put down here as well, and a pair of pants, my wet weather pants. I never wore wet weather pants at all on the second leg. I wore them one night on the first leg sailing to Lanzarote, but I would wear the jacket in the beginning. It was quite cool the first week or so. After that I was naked, as you know, a happy naked sailor. So yeah, so it's surprising. Everything sits down there. Now the next thing and so you can see, if you can see that seat just lifts up, just pulls up. It's held there by, got little buttons on the side. The next thing is, I don't have the cabin sole all the way through. Initially we said everyone had to have the floor or cabin sole, and then I realised it shouldn't be mandatory because it's just extra weight and it's hassle and a lot of people don't want it. I've got a cabin sole which goes down just over the keel floors and the keel bolts, so don't worry about that yet. It's too distracting. Stay with me. So here I'm standing on the bottom of the hull. This is actually the hull here, right? And it gives me a little bit extra headroom. I've got the sea deck on there again, which is great, and the sea deck's on all of the two floorboards there, and it just gives me that little extra. One of the things we do on the boats, you've got to have these bunk risers here have to be watertight. So it's got to be watertight up to the top of the bunk risers and all around the bunks. The lids don't have to be watertight, so they're just normal lids. And the idea of that is that if you get a wave down here, right, hopefully you're going to keep the water in the center line of the boat, and it'll help evacuate it with the bilge pumps because it's here, and it doesn't allow free surface water for stability reasons going on the side of the boat and so on. So it's very important that you won't get class approval unless for an event, unless these are watertight. Then if you want to get water out, I've got my bilge suction for my electric bilge pump is at the back of this compartment underneath the life raft, and the suction for the cockpit bilge pump is also at the back of the life raft here. They'll never get used unless there's water here big time. You know, if it's up there, then it'll be used. I have another bilge pump underneath Jane right now, which I'll show you later. So that's the internal bilge pump. Don't worry about it, but there's an internal one there, and the suction for that is under the first floorboard. One of the what I use to hold the floorboards down, you can see here. I've just got ropes. It sounds pretty corny, but I've got a rope here, and it goes down through that hole there. So it goes through the hole, and then it comes back here, and I tie it off on a cleat. So I just pull that rope down, tie it off on a cleat, like like that, and that's okay. Oh, what's happened to the camera? You got to use the button. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so I actually tie the boards down. So the idea is everything on the boat has to be able to tip upside down 360 degrees so you can shake it. Okay, if you can't do that, you're not safe. So everything in the boat can be locked down or tied off or whatever, because that's a requirement. And in fact, when we do a safety inspection, we'll be looking for that. You know, if you can't hold everything in, there's a problem. So I could put stuff underneath the floorboards if I wanted to, but I didn't because I got too much storage on the boat, which is interesting. So while I'm in this position, the other thing, this is the lee cloths obviously for the bunks. They just clip on at the ends there, and it holds everything in. So I used to leave the bottom one on. When I'm sitting in the boat, I would only ever sit here or directly opposite. So the lee cloth, this part of the lee cloth would always be here. Okay, and then all my sleeping gear, if you look down there, I've got my pillow. Everyone laughed about me, but then they bought pillows in Lanzarote. And then my sleeping bag, and at the end of that, I have 4-inch upholstery, but I didn't bring the back one because I keep my survival suit there. That's my survival suit there, ready to go, and I just put my feet on that. So when you push all your sleeping gear back there, right, it's out of the way, and you just pull it out each night, and it's easy, or whenever you need it. So that's how the lee cloths work. Going on with the theme of keeping water out, I knew that if you're coming down here and you've got all wet weather gear on and it's been raining or salt water or whatever it is, you're going to drip onto your bunk. So I've actually got spray curtains here that I can pull out if the conditions are really, really tough, you know. That just clips on there like that. This one just has a clip up here which clips on there like that. Now all that's for is, and I've got one here on this side as well, it just means that any spray coming in here is going to drip down, and that goes on the outside of the bunk and it goes onto the floor. So if I've got wet clothing on or wet weather gear or something, I strip off here and put it on the floor, have a towel here, dry down, and it's not getting on the bunk. The reality was that only had happened a few times when I came down below and I'm wet. But in tough conditions, the spray curtain is really valuable, and when you don't want it, you just roll it up out of the way. So it's no big deal. Then the bubble. Why do I like a bubble? The simple reason I like a bubble is because it gives you instant feel for what's going on. So I can actually, I'm 1.8 meters, I can stand here and I'm braced in, I'm not even hanging on with anything. So my hands can do anything, I can pull my pants up, I can use the phone, I can do whatever, and I can look around at everything. I've also got handrails here, of course. I can see the rig, I can see the sails, I can see all of the waves, and it is 10 times better than looking through a window. And it gives you an instant feeling of what's happening before you get out there. So to me, for serious sailor, adventuring, the bubble is second to none. You know, the observation pod gives you a little bit extra headroom, but it's just not the same, right? It's not the same because you've got to look out windows that way and you don't get anything looking up. You've got to look through that little vent hatch up there. It's just not the same. You know, I can sit here now and look at the rig perfectly. Misha had a big flat bit there, you know, big viewing observation one, so you can look at the stars. I can do the same things, but it just, you cannot beat a bubble in my opinion. And that was a couple €100 from Poland, really good, and I like it. I like it a lot. I can still look behind as well with the hatch on. I can look through the hatch there, but even when I'm standing up, it's really cool. I was forever hitting my head. You know, the first trip, 600-mile trip, geez, I was banged around in my head, my legs and shins. Got better as time went by. I got used to the boat, So that was easy. So that's the thingo. Then here under the lockers, really simple. This locker was some equipment and bits and pieces. The other two lockers, I've got another one exactly the same here, and then at the back I've got a watertight locker. In fact, I'll show you here. So Jane's currently sitting on a locker. There's another one here which was food, but at the back that's a watertight locker. So the other two, this just lifts up and you can see that's completely sealed 100%. It's got a drain in it. I've got my hatches at the back there, watertight again. That big red bag, if you can see that, that's the actual first aid kit. Now, Jim had that kit and I had it. It's from MSOS, which are our medical supplies for the Golden Globe race and the OGR. This time round they were just giving us a hand because we had Miriam as our doctor. I'll explain the first aid kit in another edition, but it will be compulsory for the next Transat. We're not going to let anyone do their own thing. For medical kits, the two reasons for that: one is it's a lot of work. If you ask the entrants, how difficult was it to put their first aid kit together, it was a nightmare. And secondly, it still cost a fair bit of money. So for the next Transat, we'll be using the guys at MSOS, and they'll provide all the first aid kits, and then we know everyone's, we know exactly what they got, and it works really well. So that'll be another change for the next Transat. I've got in the back here, I've got the Backrest Lockers. Now, some of them didn't have them. That's fine. It's optional. You don't have to do it. If you do it, it stiffens the boat up even more. The boat is just too strong, too solid. You sit back there, and I'm going to sit over here now. It also means that when you're sitting here, you're not way back at the back, and I can brace my feet now on that other bunk. Because you quite often, the boat's jumping around a bit. So I had calluses on my hands when I got back. I had them on every finger here and on the top there and all that sort of stuff. I've got sailing gloves. I wore them for the first couple of days, but they actually found them to be slippery on the rope. But the calluses didn't come from pulling ropes. They came from hanging on. It sounds crazy, but everywhere you are on the boat, you're hanging on. If you need these handrails here, right? You need them to hang on and to lift yourself out of the bunk and things, so you need that. These two poles here are fantastic, because a pole is, I'd highly recommend that for every boat, because you do need to hang on. And yeah, I'm surprised though. The calluses have been there for a long time now, and I think I'm going to have them for quite a while. And it's literally because you are always hanging on. So that's good for the backrest. I only bought the 4-inch bunk cushions here, but I've got bunk cushions. I've got backrest stuff when we want to go cruising, as Jane and I will probably do some fun stuff on this as well. So Jane's shaking her head at the moment. Yes, dear. Anyway, it's really comfortable. This is cool. I was the only one with upholstery. The others were just using little bits and pieces, which is fine. And with these lockers, it allows you to get things organised, but I've got to admit there is too much storage on this boat. I only half filled it. Well, that's not quite right. All of my bunk lockers here were full, okay, with food. I had 4 lockers full of food, which was enough for 2 months. I bought 2 months worth of food. I ate really well. What did I eat? I call it wet food. This is tin food. Yes, not dog food. It's French tin food, and I've got to tell you, it's as good as you're ever going to get. They're about $3.50, €3.50 a tin. Just this brand, it's fantastic food. You've got no idea. It's not like your normal food. I had tin salads like this, all different varieties. Tin pork. This was Jean-Luc's favourite. He took like a heap of these, and I love them as well, so I had them. I had tin fish. I had tin fruit. I'd have a tin of fruit, small one, every day. I had cheeses, I had salamis, I had everything you could eat normally without cooking at all. So I only ran the stove 3 times during the voyage. I ran the Jetboil. Hang on to that, Jane. My Jetboil is under here. The Jetboil is on a gimbal. So the gas canister is inside this. That sits on there. The gas canister underneath, and I can put it on the bracket there. In the back, so the heat is going out the door, but in reality I just used it on the floor. I just supported it on my feet and just did it. I did it 3 times because I wanted to try out the freeze-dried food. No offense to the freeze-dried company that this food is for. It's not as good as the wet food, I've got to tell you. It's like, why would you worry about it? And with wet food you're also using a lot less water, and it sounds funny, but I ate really well. So that's my Jetboil. I use that 3 times because it takes about less than a couple of minutes to boil the water for freeze dried. And this little Origo, this cost a fortune because they stopped making it. This cost me nearly €1,000 for the whole lot. You buy the stove thing if you bought the lot. GGR entrant. What's his name? Oh God, I've forgotten his name. What's his name? Edward, good old Edward from Canada, Nova Scotia. He actually loves these stoves. I used them in 1990 in the GGR, in the BOC, and I was looking everywhere for the gimbals and the pot holders, and bugger me, he had them, and he gave them to me. So I was very happy with that. I could have cooked every day with this stove. I left that there and I'd put things in it, they'd never go flying. So this little gimbal was enough to work. So even though the boat jumps around, normal stove like this, I could have cooked anything I want on that for the whole voyage. It worked really well. But I don't cook at sea. I just eat as it comes, and I ate really well. For my water system, I've got a sink here. I've got a sink and a pump here, and then I use these water containers. I had 3 of them lashed here. They're not lashed anymore, but here's the beauty of these things. These things are unbelievable how it works, because I didn't want a water tank in the boat. Water tanks are a pain in the ass because they get contaminated, and you're leaving all your water in the one container, and it upsets the weight and all that sort of thing. So I had 3 10-litre containers here, and the way they work for water suction, if I unscrew this one here, the caps are in 2 parts. You can get these from Plastimo. I did it the wrong way around. You undo the first one, and here's the second one, right? And normally you just put that, can you see that? Normally you put that on there, but that bit there is the same as that, right? So if I just pull that hose out and stick it in there, it's now a suction line. So you put that in there like that, and that's all it is. So this is my suction line for that pump. So when I empty this container, if I want the next one, I just pull that hose out, take the cap off, stick it in the top there, and I've got 3 10-litre water tanks, and they're all lashed in. They're just tied in with rope. They can't move even with the boat upside down. So I've got 30 litres of water there, which is really easy, and they're easy to handle. So that system worked really well. No problems. The sink is good. I'd try and wash my hands every night in the sink to get the salt off, and then I'd try to put conditioner on, hand conditioner, in like moisturiser cream like women put on their face, because your hands get hanging on all the time, blah blah blah. If I was doing it again, I'd do a bigger sink, because you don't really need this bench top here for stuff. Having a bigger sink, you can put things in it, and it's quite handy for bits and pieces. But that system worked. But the amazing thing was, you had to have at least 110 litres of fluid. You could use fruit juice, milk, or soft drinks, but not alcohol, to make up the fluids. And so I had over 40 litres of juice. I'm a big fan of cranberry juice. I had 18 cans of soft drink. I had lots of nectars. I had some milk from a cereal, things like that. And so then I had 30 litres of water here. I had another 20 litres at the back, so that's 50. And I had another 10 litre out there, plus my emergency water. And that gave me everything I needed to make the 100 and something litres of fluid. But I used bugger all water. I used about I forget now. It was only 20, not even 20 litres of water, not even 20 litres, hardly any, because I'm using juice all the time, but anyway, that's just me. And as I say, I don't like the stove. One thing I'd say, a lot of people are putting locker doors on things, you know what I mean, around the chart table and stuff. I got to say, no, not up there, that's the electrical, down here underneath the chart table and under here. It's really nice just to have open storage bins that with holes here you can tie off, because you've got a lot of big things you want to get rid of, and if you've got locker doors just get in the way. So I found this without anything there worked really well. This the outboard battery, that is quite heavy, but I store that underneath the chart table, just in there, and I'd have spare bits and pieces in there, all that sort of stuff. So I found no locker doors there to be extremely handy when you're actually at sea. If you're weekend sailing and you want to be cute and stuff, then that's fine. So that's that one. Now let me show you one of the other amazing things that's just little tips here. Get that out of the way. The way this whole thing works when you're living on board. What are you looking at?
It stopped.
What stopped? No, you can't work it sideways like that. I'll be sitting here. Okay, so you can sit over the other side there. Give me that. I just want to show you, if you sit over that side there now, because I'm going to come through and show you what goes on. This is a yoga mat, okay, a really soft one, super soft. We brought it into the boat when Blaster was doing the electrical system because we were sitting on frames all the time and all that sort of thing. And it was really handy. It was a really nice thing to have. And I thought, geez, you just hit the thing. Okay, put it back again if you can. We'll wait until it goes thingo. Okay, so because what happens is you come to here, the boat's bouncing around, you know, I can be propped here, that's fine. What I would do then, this is how I live on board, I'd just swing straight from there, one movement, either from hanging on the rails here, I'd go vroom like this, straight into this position here, and I'm on my knees, right? And so having the yoga mat there on your knees now is fantastic. It's soft, it's luxurious, it's really great. And then I would end up bracing myself on a pole here if the boat's moving, or this side or that side, whatever. And so I was in this situation quite a lot as you're doing something at the galley or whatever. Before you got into the thing, sometimes I might be here, it's too rough to stand up, pulling my pants off because I was naked half the time, whatever. Or even when you wanted to have it in the pee bottle. If I wanted to have the pee bottle, which would be here, I'd be braced here like this, and then I'd fill up the pee bottle, you know, because I'm a man, and put the lid on it and put it away again, because you just leave it there until the next time you go out in the cockpit. So this routine and having that mat was really handy. You know, it was really quite cool. And so then this was my favourite position here, because usually there was a lot of the sailing, most of it was on starboard tack, so I'm on the starboard side now, and I'd sit here. I can get everything I want. I've got all my bits. I've got my drink there in a container. I've got bags here. I've got the radio. I'll just pull this off of here. Try to do that one-handed. I've got to bug it up, bloody thumb here. So I've got my VHF AIS here. I can see that from outside or inside here when I'm in my bunk. I've got my white flares there if I needed them. I've got a water bottle in here. These are all my extra torches and stuff. You know, had a lot of headlamps. Spare handheld VHF radio. This one was all comms, extra comms. This was bits and pieces, satellite phone. I'd use an internal aerial, like an external aerial inside the bubble here. I'd just set it up, boom. Take me a minute to set that up, and I could make my satellite phone calls from inside the boat, which was a lot quieter because there's a lot of noise out there with the surf swishing past as the boat's sailing and stuff. The other one that's really important for storage is your actual electric cockpit autopilot. So this is my tiller pilot here. Okay, so it's stored there in more of that foam. So drop it in there and then put the clip on, and it can't go anywhere. So it's a good place to put it. You got to look after that one. Mine's still working, but eventually it'll break because it's mechanical. The other point now. Yeah, so lots of different storage. I've got little pockets on here. I'd leave ready access there, gear, stuff like that. So this hatch would be shut into the forecastle all the time. I'll show you what goes on there in a minute. But this is the electrical system. First of all, this plate here, this is my class certification plate. I was the first 580 certified under the conditions of the class association, which is natural because we own the association and we know what was required. We developed what's required. But when you've got that, you're certified. Now that'll help your registration for the builders because you're registered. If you can do it two ways in the EU. One is you can get an exemption for the CE requirement by being a home built. There's an exemption there which you go through it. But the other one, the other one is that you can certify as a racing boat. There's a CE exemption under a racing boat. You'll have to do a little bit more paperwork. But we declared as a one design class certified as a racing boat and so on. So that'll help you there. This is the Blaster masterpiece. This is Blaster, our electrician. I had an idea of what I wanted here, and I knew all the components. And Pete, who just did the Transat, he's offered everyone a circuit diagram on what to do, how to set up a 2-battery circuit system on this boat for autopilots and the normal house requirement. And it's actually on the forum, on the 580 forum, which you can get off the website. which I used as my basis, and so did Etienne. Etienne made a couple of modifications. He gave me his mud map for that, and that was my plan. The reality was I was running way behind, and Misha's electrician who came down, they're all living with us while they're finishing their boat, and I'm panicking because I can't have time to work on the boat. And then Blas says, oh, look, I'll give you a hand, stay behind. He stayed with us for 10 days and did the whole electrical system. And shit, it's fantastic. But in fact, I'll try and put a mud map up of what he did. I've got a handwritten drawing of the circuits and stuff, but it's a further modification of what Pete had. If you did nothing else and just copied Pete's recommendations, you've got a great electrical system. So it's very simple. These are our switchboards for different things. I've got in front of this bulkhead, I've got 2 batteries, and the way we did it is I've got an 85 amp hour battery in front of it's only, you no need to show it. It's just in the front of the bulkhead, right, up against the bulkhead right here. An 85 amp hour battery, and also a 115 amp hour battery. So I've got 200 amp hours. The small one is the first one to get charged. There's this little thing in here called the Cyrex battery splitter, which is there it is there. That's it there. So it means the only power we've got charging the batteries is the solar panels. So it'll top up the first battery, and when that's topped up, it'll overflow into the second battery. So the house battery is smaller than the autopilot battery, and so then we know it's topping up over the other way. But first off, that all the power's going into that 85 amp hour battery, and then it starts topping up the other, so it's fine. This is my Victron full electrical information panel. It tells me amps going in, amps coming out, the voltage of both batteries, all that sort of stuff. So everything is there. Up here I've got a normal basic voltmeter to tell me what's going on with the house battery, and then this one is telling me what's going on with the other battery, the autopilot battery. So 2 independent systems, 2 fuses, 2 battery switches. This is the EcoMax control panel. It's waterproof there. This is my bilge pump control panel, so I can override it or use the float switch arrangement. All very simple, but the real stuff is on the inside here, and everything's waterproof coming in from the other side of the bulkhead. It's all coming through glands, which I'll show you when we go into the forecastle. And so, yeah, very simple, very organised and straightforward. Down here, that's the solar regulator for one system, for one battery, and that's the solar regulator for the other. And there's a reason for that, because at the moment everything's coming in through the one battery, which is here. They're the 2 panels which are installed on the boat. If I'm using the flying lead panel, it's going to come in through that one, because I can use it for either panels, and I'll show you. This is my USB ports here. It's a waterproof USB thingo. If I close that, it's waterproof, so that's my USB chargers. I've got a cigarette lighter charger here, just a normal plug-in. I use that to charge a satellite phone. And I've got other things I can put manually, just clip them onto the battery. That's my inverter for marina living, or when you want to use your computer and so on. 240 volt inverter, 250 watts. Very heavy. Normally you'd have that on a plug. You could take it off when you're racing because you don't need it, but I just left it, so it's fine. I've got a lift up chart table lid here, big bin with all the chart table bits in it. Then that's really about all that's happening there. These are our Yb3 Trackers, which were giving all the positions to the tracking page. I think some of you have seen them before. This one's mine. We hired all the units, and I've got my own one. And it's a pretty cool system. It lasts for probably 3 months with the battery fully charged, giving giving position every 4 hours or something. It's got a panic button on it as well, and all those sorts of things, so that's cool. Okay, so you go back into your seat again, and we didn't show there's my telltale compass up the top there, so I can see what direction. We just invert it. That's 180 degrees. Turn it 180 degrees, and I tell which way I'm heading. It's a hand bearing compass, so I can use it to take bearings if I want to see what's going on. And it's my second compass for the cockpit. I just put it in the rope bag, and so that's it. So that's cool. That's my EPIRB up there, so that's there ready to grab and go if I need it. I've got a little fan over the side. You can see the cockpit lockers that go in the cockpit combing bins. They're perfectly dry, all that sort of stuff. I have different equipment in that one. The one on the opposite side, I put all my clothes in, and I couldn't even fill it with my clothes because I don't have many. So that was pretty straightforward. I have two PLBs. One is permanently on my safety harness, my Plastimo harness. There's a PLB in there, and the other one I'd always keep in my wet weather gear pocket all the time, or with me if I was naked and going somewhere. I always had that PLB with me, because the reality was, if something dramatic happened, if I jumped over the side with a PLB, there's so many ships and yachts and all that stuff around, you've probably got a chance of surviving just swimming in the water. But if you don't have access to that PLB in the middle of the night and it's dark and something's gone bang in the night and you've got to jump over the side, you're cooked. So I always say to people, have a PLB with you all the time, even when you're sleeping, ready to go. I think that's I have my lights here, which aren't on at the moment. There's an LED light there that goes up and down, and it's red or white. That's really cool. This one was using too much power. I didn't use it at all. So it's there. I have a clock, barometer, and all the rest of the bits. The barometer is very important. Basically, if the barometer's going up, you should head south. If it's going down, head north. But the reality was, we had so much wind on our voyage across the bottom in the trades that we could just head straight for Antigua. There was a huge trade wind band, and we had plenty of wind and a pretty solid sea running. So that's pretty cool. I think that's I never opened the windows when I'm at sea, and they seal really well. These didn't have windows, touch wood, haven't leaked at all. Even when we did the pull down test, they're quite solid. They're Plastimo windows, and we recommend them. You know, they're really solid. They had a lot of water over that, we hit solid water and so on, but they never leaked, and got some wax. The vents, these are the inside of the vents that we've got there, and this Dorade vent up here, the Plastimo Dorade, was really good. The one by the mast here, the water trap, never leaked a drop. We had quite a bit of water over the boat, but never leaked a drop, so that's easy. And what else can I tell you? I think that's about all now, but we're nearly finished, so I think I'm going to just quickly show you the forecastle here. If I can get up in there, and then show you some bits. Okay. Stick the camera in here. So the way my forecastle is set up is I've got the crash box up forward, then this locker here is watertight with the lid down, so try not to put too much in there. So that's the watertight lid there. So that's pretty straightforward. You want to just bring the camera in and show the bulkheads there. That's I don't know whether you can see that. You can see the glands there going through the bulkheads there, all the electrical cables. Up the top it's the navigation light and the VHF coax up the top there, so that's easy to undo and thread it back out when you're not there. Very solid up here. This is my anchor. My anchor's just tied in there, but it's got a knife there ready to cut it out in a hurry if I need to pull it, cut it. I just cut the storage, get it up on the top, and connect the chain there. I've got one 20-litre water container here that ties on. I can put two. I've got tie down points on both sides of the boat. Beauty of a timber boat, you can drill holes, put dead eyes in and lash things down, so that's pretty straightforward. And our battery compartment, which I'll show you, is under here. Okay, so I undo the bits here, get that up there, and you'll see here's our two batteries. They're all, I've got a big board here with full of holes, and the same at the back there, all bolted in, and then I've got lashings and tie down points everywhere, so they can't, you can be upside down and those batteries are never going to move. That's the 115 and that's the 75. No, 70 amp hours. So 70 amp hours and 115. Yeah, so I'm 195. So it's a 70 and a 115. So that's where I keep the batteries. In hindsight, the reason I put all the weight here beside the mast is because that's what you normally do. All your heavy stuff should be below the mast and above the keel. Okay. Now, having done all that, I got it wrong. I noticed when I watched the videos of the coming in after the 600 miles to Lanzarote, that the boat was not rising normally. It was sailing, the stern was lifting and the bow was pivoting. So I tried to get as much weight as I could aft, and it ended up pretty right. So don't be too stressed about putting all the weight on the mast, because the mast is a long way forward. I forgot, it's a fractional rig boat. Normally you'd do that on a masthead rig boat. So you want to get some weight down the back a bit, not right at the ends, but But yeah, that's another little tip. So, but anyway, during the trip here, it worked out okay, but I had a lot more weight in this locker as well. But I took that all down the back. So I think that's about it for now. I can't think of much else, and if I do, I'll come back with another one. Okay, that's Trekka. Cool little boat. I really, honestly like it, and very happy with the whole deal. You know, I'd be very happy for anyone to sail one of these boats anywhere in the world. Takes you a few days to get used to it. It feels like a big boat. It's a little boat. You got to get the sail off as soon as you can. You know, with the main sail, you got to get it down. Less is more. Get the sail off, and you'll probably go faster, and it's easier to control. So you want to get it down. And we did have a hole in the sail wardrobe, which we'll talk about later. We're going to develop one more sail, which I call a blast reacher. But I'm talking to the guys at Quantum already, and they're saying it's going to be. They know exactly what we're after because the Mini 650s use it. I didn't know that. But it'll be a special sail, and it'll be the last one we develop, and it'll fill a lot of holes. So all good. Goodbye.